Welcome to Fred Achando Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. In this episode, I will explain and demonstrate to you how the Azimio party leader, Raila Odinga, has managed to win the first part of the post-August battle with the international community. Raila Odinga has always remained a thorn in the flesh to the successive governments from 2007, 2013, 2017, and now 2022. There has been a plan by a consortium of groups of people who have always connived to rob Raila of his victory. But Raila has remained the proverbial cat with 9 lives. When you think that you have annihilated him politically, Raila Odinga will resuscitate, rejuvenate, regroup, and before you know it, Raila is there with you. And if there is one thing that you can take to the bank, is that you cannot manage the affairs of the Kenyan politics without Raila Odinga. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2022, there had been a crafted plan that not only Raila was going to be blocked to the most coveted house, State House, but that he was going to be escorted to Bondo. Because William Ruto has always worked with Raila Odinga. They were there in 2007. And William Ruto saw the kind of support that Raila received. And Raila won these elections in 2007. But he was robbed. And William Ruto, in his own considered opinion, thought that with the kind of massive support that Raila received in 2007, he shouldn't have left that victory to go for a handshake with the late President Mwai Kibaki to become a prime minister. Because he knew that was their victory. He wanted Raila to go to the fullest path to get his crown, to get the sword. But for some reasons, Raila decided to put the country first, and they went into that coalition government with Raila as the prime minister. So William Ruto knew very well, because in 2013 and 2017 they also robbed Raila Odinga of his victory, and he saw what Raila did. After the Supreme Court had ruled, Raila just decided that it's okay, we don't agree with the Supreme Court ruling, but for the sake of the nation, let the country move on. So he knew very well that this time round, Raila was going to do the same. But one thing that was different is that he knew very well that Raila was going to go home. Why? Because of his age and all other factors. I want you to listen to William Ruto as he explains how he was going to cast Raila Odinga in a wheelbarrow and take him to Bondo. And one of the things that he mentions is his age. Raila is currently 78 years old. But in that video, William Ruto is saying that Raila is 80 years old and that he will become inept and there is nothing he can do. Just take a look.
Huyu anajua anaweza kutuongoza kweli? Bwana please. Situambiane tu kweli. Huyo mzee ile kazi imebaki ni tumuweke kwa wheelbarrow, tumusukume mpaka Bondo aende apumzike. Ama si ndio? Na mnajua rafiki yangu rais nimemwambia awachane tu na mimi, aniwaachie huyu kitendawili, nitamzamisha asubuhi. Ama ni aje? Mimi nauliza nyinyi, mumewahi kusikia huyo mtu ya kitendawili kuna mpango yote ya maendeleo amepanga? Kuna barabara yote hapa Nakuru amepanga? Na stima kuna yote amepanga? Sasa nikuulize wewe mtu ya Dodori, mtu ambaye hajawahi kupanga maendeleo mahali popote. Saa hii miaka ndio hiyo inafika 80. Mimi nauliza nyinyi, saa hii akiwa na miaka 80 ndio ataanza kujua vile ya kupanga mambo ya maendeleo? Tuambiane tu kweli.
So ladies and gentlemen, William Ruto, while sitting down with the international community, knew very well that owing to the age factor, Raila could not come back to the Kenyan politics, because a plan had been crafted that once they take away his victory, then William Ruto was going to take part of the Azimio leadership. And that is why immediately after they took oath of office, all the members of the UDM from northeastern Kenya changed their allegiance to the ruling party, the UDA, because William Ruto wanted to cut off the branches of Raila Odinga so that Raila could remain a one-man standing, an island. He had also crafted a narrative that he was going to preach this gospel that the Raila followers, the diehard followers, were now very tired, because every now and then, after every electioneering year, Raila was coming back to his people that, I have been robbed. And William Ruto knew very well that they were not going to accept it. And in fact, Raila fans were very tired. Some of them had decided that we will not vote again. Why? This time round, Raila went into an election with the deep state, with the support of the former president. In fact, the then president was supporting him. The cabinet secretaries like Fredrick Ooko, Joe Mushero of the ICT, Defense Minister Eugene Wamalwa, and a host of government officers who were supporting Raila Odinga. Raila had complained that the only difference between him and power was the deep state, that whenever he wins, the deep state would come and rob him of that victory. So this time round, all Raila fans knew that once they vote, they would sit down and see Uhuru Kenyatta and the deep state deliver that victory. That did not happen, and William Ruto took advantage. He knew very well, and they started preaching this gospel in Nyanza, led by the ICT cabinet secretary Electoral. They went there under the guise of distributing relief food, and they started preaching, Luo Nation is tired, William Ruto is ready to work with everyone. They knew that was going to work. And then they knew that other leaders like Martha Karua, people like Joho and Eugene Wamalwa, were not going to stand by Raila's side. People like Kalonzo Musyoka. So this was a crafted narrative. But I want to submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that the opposite has actually happened. Raila Odinga, I don't know what he ate. Because when he went to South Africa, he was a very noble man. In fact, he had instructed the Luo Nation to welcome President William Ruto in that visit. In Homa Bay, Ruto was received by Governor Gladys Wanga. In Kisumu, Governor Nyong'o welcomed William Ruto. And in Siaya, Orengo and a host of other leaders, including Raila's brother Oburu Odinga, was there. And William Ruto thought that this is the time. He thought he had fixed Raila into his pocket. But when Raila flew back into the country, everything had changed. He said he does not recognize the legitimacy of President William Ruto. The whistleblower had just blown out and said that they won with 8 million votes against William Ruto's 5 million votes. And that is when hell broke loose. Raila has gone around the country, and he has convinced them that they indeed woke up very late in the morning and they voted for him, but the votes were stolen by the international community, by the IEBC and the Supreme Court. One thing that I want to mention here is, even if we do not know the ultimate goal of Raila rallies, Raila going to meet people around the country, the short-term goal, and I think one of the most important ones, was to redeem himself. I want you to imagine a young politician like William Ruto coming to send Raila to Bondo. Raila is a great politician. He's a warrior. And so even if you are to retire from politics, you cannot retire by giving William Ruto a bragging right that he's the one who sent Raila to Bondo. And if you want to know, at the center of Raila rallies is the pride. Because if he went to Bondo, maybe by age or physical health or mental health or any other reason, or any advice from his doctor, personal doctor, that he should retire. I'm telling you, it won't be now. It would be said that the late President Daniel Moi could not annihilate Raila Odinga. Mwai Kibaki could not take him back to Bondo. Neither Uhuru Kenyatta. But then this young politician from Eldoret managed to retire Raila Amolo Odinga. And this is the pride that Raila Amolo Odinga, the political warrior, could not let go. You see, Raila is facing his political sunset. But even as he retires, he must do it in a way that will not be humiliating. He cannot accept to subject himself to an opinion that he's going home because he has been humiliated by William Samoei Ruto. This is what William Ruto wanted. This is what the international community wanted. And I think William Ruto must have assured them that once you deliver this victory to me, leave the rest to me. I'm going to ensure that I work hard to retire Raila to Bondo. This is not happening. Because what has Raila done? He has coalesced all the people who voted for him now around him. They love him. They're preaching one message. They have accepted that Raila is their president, and Raila is saying that he's not going to let go his victory. Even in the places where they thought Raila could not go, in Machakos, where Wavinya Ndeti and Mutula Kilonzo Jr. had warned them not to go, they went there and it was a massive rally. Even in Kisii, where the former governor James Ongwae had cautioned them not to go, they went there and it was a very massive rally. People thronged that rally. So Raila Amolo Odinga has won the favor, the sympathy, and the support of his people. And so, why am I saying that Raila has won the first battle? The first battle was supposed to take away his people, to preach the gospel that they are tired. The first battle was to take away people like Kalonzo, the same way people like the former governor Ongwae have gone. They thought that people like Martha Karua, Kalonzo and all that would go, but they have stuck around him, people like Governor Paranya. And so the international community has now gone back to the drawing board because they had just one plan, the people and the leadership. And they thought that Raila would easily be manipulated just by calling him a statesman, just by reminding him every now and then that he's the AU High Representative of Infrastructure, so that whenever something happens, you call him there in Washington, D.C. But Raila has defied all these odds. And so, ladies and gentlemen, even as Raila goes round, he's a very proud man now because he has proved to everyone, to all and sundry, that he's still an enigma in politics, that he still has the backing of his people. They are not about to ditch him. So the fallacy that was preached is not holding any water. The promise by William Ruto that he was going to cast him to a wheelbarrow and send him back to Bondo is not happening. In fact, the first time William Ruto took oath of office, he went and lifted the ban on the GMO, knowing very well that Raila was tired and was going to go to Bondo. But Raila is the one who spoke against it, and he rallied the support of many other stakeholders. Now it cannot take off. It is in a court of justice. When William Ruto took the military to help in the banditry infested Pokot area without involving the opinion of the parliament, Raila Amolo Odinga spoke against it. So William Ruto cannot do anything unilaterally without facing the wrath of Raila Amolo Odinga. When Kenyans are suffering from hunger, Raila is reminding them that William Ruto is unable to implement the promises that he gave to Kenyans. So Joe Bidden and all the consortium of the community that went into a meeting and decided to rob Raila of his victory, to send him back to retirement, are back to drawing board. Raila is not retiring any soon, and even if he decides to retire, it will be in his own volition, not being compelled by people who think that they can easily just send him away by robbing him of his victory. This is the first battle, ladies and gentlemen. I know there are other things like maybe a million march to State House, maybe to boycott some products and services of those who support the government, maybe to deny the Kenyan government taxes. There could be other things. But what I'm looking at is the first battle. Raila had to redeem himself because William Ruto had humiliated him. They knew this man, because of his age, he could not plunge back into the Kenyan politics. I don't know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, but that is my take.